On this episode, we are joined by Dr. Clifford Thomas, an interventional cardiologist and a fellow of the Royal College of Physicians. Dr. Thomas will have a conversation with us on the disease that is the leading cause of deaths in Trinidad and Tobago, heart disease, which actually refers to several types of conditions, accounts for 1 in 7 deaths worldwide. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, heart disease claims a life every 34 seconds. The prevalence of hypertension in Trinidad and Tobago is high. Approximately 29.8% of males and 23.1% of females are affected, although these figures are believed to be much higher.
On today's Vitaminute, we feature niacin, or vitamin B3. Vitamin B3 helps to convert nutrients into energy, create cholesterol and fats, create and repair DNA. A vitamin B deficiency is rare because it is found in many foods, both from animals and plants, such as red meat, beef liver, pork, poultry, fish, brown rice, fortified cereals, and breads, nuts, seeds, and bananas. And that was today's Vitaminute.
We want to know, and you want to tell us, 12 facts that we all should know about heart attacks. First of all, coronary arteries. Can you tell us a little bit about coronary arteries?
Some people refer to heart attacks as coronary events because of the coronary arteries, which are the arteries which supply the heart muscle. The heart is a pump, and these arteries supply the heart muscle with essential nutrients.
What exactly is a heart attack now?
A heart attack occurs when there is a blockage inside these arteries due to plaques or clots which partially or completely occlude the vessel.
So the heart is a muscle, and it requires, just like any muscle, blood supply for it to contract and relax, and the heart must contract and relax constantly.
That is correct. If the artery is completely occluded, the heart muscle is not getting enough blood flow and it gets damaged. And that is what a heart attack is about.
Is that reversible, that damage to the heart muscle?
If a patient experiencing a heart attack is treated promptly, the artery can be reopened and prevent extensive damage.
Okay, how can I know, the viewers out there know, if let's say their dad, they're sitting down at the table and they're not sure if he's experiencing a heart attack. Sometimes symptoms can be quite subtle and might be overlooked for something else, like gastroesophageal reflux disease. How can I, or anybody out there, know if a relative is experiencing a heart attack?
Excellent question. The most common symptom of a heart attack is chest discomfort or chest pain that's persisting for more than a few minutes. The pain can also be felt in the arm, shoulder, or even the jaw. Other symptoms which are often associated include a bad feeling, nausea, profuse sweating, and breathlessness.
The pain that you're talking about, would you say it's a burning pain, or it feels like something is on top of their chest and they can't breathe?
Many people find it difficult to describe it, and some people actually use their fist to show that it's a tightening, pressing, squeezing, discomfort, oppressive.
Okay. Do you always have to have the sweating, that cold sweating that you described with the pain, or you may have just some of those symptoms, or do I have to look for all of those symptoms?
You don't have to have all of those symptoms. Sometimes the patient might not even have chest pain, and we have found that in women there may be an atypical presentation, indigestion, gas.
Wow.
But if the symptoms are such that the patient is very uncomfortable, especially if they're sweating and looking unwell, you should suspect a heart attack.
When you say looking unwell, their complexion changes. Should I be looking at at my uncle or aunt, like, okay, they say they're not feeling well.
Change in complexion is not really a major symptom.
Okay.
So focus on symptoms of discomfort, breathlessness, and sweating. But chest discomfort or pain is the #1 symptom of a heart
What should we
attack.
do if we think that our relative sitting down across the table is experiencing a heart attack as we speak?
Very important. It is important to seek medical attention urgently because prompt treatment of a heart attack could prevent extensive damage and death. Therefore, one should try to get to a hospital as soon as possible, preferably by ambulance.
Is there anything at all, household, anything that they can probably put their hands on to administer in the interim while they're driving to the hospital or while they're waiting the ambulance? What should they do?
Just get to the hospital. Knowledge of resuscitation is helpful because some people with a heart attack can have a cardiac arrest, stop breathing and stop beating. And if a bystander knows how to administer CPR, that might save a life.
Okay.
But the answer to your question is get to a hospital.
Get to the hospital. Let's say they got to the hospital, what should they expect? What should I expect the doctors to be doing?
Prompt evaluation, immediate evaluation. The doctor will do vital signs and get an EKG, an electrocardiogram, as soon as possible.
Okay.
An ECG is an electrical tracing of the heart, and it will show if there's evidence of an occluded artery supplying significant heart muscle.
Any other tests that they would probably do?
There's a blood test which can be done called cardiac enzymes.
Right.
Troponin is the main one. But you don't wait to get the results of that to decide if this needs to be treated. The EKG can be done within 2 minutes, and you have a result right away to decide if this needs to be treated urgently.
Our facilities, our ambulance facilities, have that capability of performing an EKG on site?
Some do, but the focus of the ambulance is really to get the patient to a hospital as quickly as possible.
Okay.
But an EKG can be done in an ambulance, and it's even possible to have that EKG transmitted to the hospital so the doctors are prepared, knowing whether a heart attack is coming.
Fantastic.
Patient with a heart attack is coming.
So time is of the essence here when you suspect your relative having a heart attack. What's next? Let's just say, yes, we've confirmed that this patient is having a heart attack.
The next step is to get the blocked artery open.
How's that done?
Well, there are 2 ways. You can use medicines which dissolve the clot which is obstructing the artery, or mechanically we can thread a catheter with a balloon tip into the artery and inflate that balloon to open the artery and put a stent to keep that artery open.
What's a stent?
A stent is a metallic scaffolding which is mounted on a collapsed balloon. The balloon is opened up in the artery, and when the balloon is removed, the stent remains, keeping the artery open.
Right, so it reinforces and opens up that wall.
That's right. That can only be done in hospitals equipped with a special suite called a cath lab.
And this is exactly what you do. You're an interventional cardiologist. So you, as the name implies, you intervene and you get into the heart very non-invasively.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And the point is to get oxygen to that part of the heart that's already been deprived.
Correct.
Okay.
Get the blocked artery open immediately.
What time frame we're looking at here? Like in the first 6 hours of onset of the pain, you get effective treatment of the clot?
Well, I'll go on the other side. If 24 hours have passed and you present to a hospital, too much damage has already occurred. Therefore, if you get to a hospital within an hour or 2 of the onset of the chest pain, and within an hour after that, the arteries open either by the medicine or by the cath lab balloon technique, then that is the standard of care that we expect.
Okay, and we offer that in the general hospitals, angioplasty?
The general hospital that has the cardiac facilities does do that. They may not have the staff to do it on a 24/7 basis, however.
Okay, I got you. Your practice, Premier Heart Care Limited, is both in Trinidad as well as Tobago. So now you're well poised to tell us and share with us exactly how prevalent is coronary artery disease or cardiovascular diseases in Trinidad and Tobago.
There's a very high incidence of coronary artery disease. The reason for that is that there are certain risk factors that make you more likely to develop that. High blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, cigarette smoking, as well as a family history of people who've had that. And we have a lot of that in Trinidad.
Yeah. Those are high-risk patients. Is there any specific age group you commonly see with cardiovascular disease? Or it doesn't matter?
One must be aware that this can affect even relatively young people, particularly if they have risk factors. But by and large, we're talking about people in their 50s and above, that is the number, the highest prevalence.
Okay. Let's just say where there's a person who's at risk. He probably doesn't have heart disease yet. He has mid-40s, high blood pressure. He has all the risk factors, probably even leading a sedentary lifestyle, obese to add to the mix. What's your advice for someone like that?
So we're talking about prevention. And I would say that there are two things that I want you to remember about in prevention. The first one is that lifestyle. A healthy lifestyle, what we're eating, exercising, avoiding putting on excessive weight, preventing the risk factors from getting out of control. If you're diabetic, you want to make sure that it's properly controlled, get the blood pressures down, regular checkups. So if you are at risk, you can go to your doctor and get screened.
I've got to ask you though, what is the link between diabetes and coronary artery disease?
That's a difficult question, but it's known to be a risk factor. It's a metabolic issues which lead to the buildup of plaques within the arteries.
Right.
And diabetes is one of those.
Okay. What does screening for heart disease look like? Let's just say I want everybody to know how to screen for heart disease. And what age do we start screening?
30s and 40s. Definitely by 40s you should be screening, particularly if in your family people have had heart attacks.
Okay. And what does that look like, a screening test for coronary artery disease or cardiovascular disease?
Well, I'll start off with a consultation with your family doctor. A useful test would be a stress test, because if you are exercising, doing physical exercise, we can put an EKG and do cardiac imaging with echo and see if the heart muscle is struggling to get flow when you're exercising.
Okay.
So that's a common screening test or a useful diagnostic tool for picking up heart disease.
Wonderful. Before we wrap up, I'm sure you want to leave our audience with one golden nugget, one piece of advice with respect to cardiovascular disease. What would that be?
I would say that the heart is a vital organ, and you've got to take care of it in the same way as you take care of your car. So you've got to put the correct things into it, healthy lifestyle, go in for your regular checkups, and make sure that you can prevent heart disease.
Prevention is always better than cure.
Prevention is better than cure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Varicose veins is a serious medical condition that causes significant pain and debility.
The varicose veins might appear because the body is trying to form alternative pathways. And next thing you know, you go and treat that, and you've left an undiagnosed DVT there, which can be life-threatening. And if you don't diagnose and treat that, then you're treating the varicose veins, but you've ignored a big problem.